Well, it's a beautiful winter day here in the Rockies to go on an adventure, and the blade that I have with me is very unique because it's designed by the guys over at Dutch Bushcraft Knives and built by BPS Knives. And we're gonna find out how high octane the Bushmate is from a design perspective, while simultaneously discovering how well this Ukrainian company, who's known for their budget knives, can execute this design. And I can tell you from experience over the years that budget knives with pinned in handle scales have always given me trouble, and we're gonna find out if that's true on this design or if it rises above the rest. So guys, I'm Aaron, this is Gideonstactical. Thanks for joining me, let's dive in. Whew, getting cold out here. Now, if you're not familiar with the density and quality of leather that BPS uses on their sheaths, you're missing out. I mean, it's almost worth the cost of the entire package, the level of like just good quality sheath leather that they use. You can see how dense it is. It's rather rigid. They have good stitching right here. You can just see how well all that is built. No drainage hole, that'd be nice. You could, work that in yourself if you have to. And yes, it is gonna have that fire steel loop right there and come with a matching fire steel. It is a little bit on the short side and bent to the left just a hair, but you can make it work, like many of us do. And it totally will get a fire going, no problem. Has a nice little hole right there. You can do a shock cord and really keep it into place, but the tension's pretty well done on that. And let me know, do you like having an attached fire steel to your woods knives, or do you view it as dead weight and would prefer to have a more slimmed down profile? It's an excellent ride. Now, there's a strap here, and this is kind of where we come in the first issue of a few on the design of the knife and the package. The leather strap is well done. I like the kind of button style. It's like a punch style, not an actual like snap button. And it really like flares itself out so that you don't accidentally nick the blade. So that's really good. And I like that aspect. The issue is that when it is closed, that's the tension on this sheath. It's almost unsafe. I'm sorry. It's almost unsafe. The strap literally does nothing. Here we go. Whee! I didn't even touch the strap and I put it right back into place. Whee! And I didn't even touch the strap. And I did ask myself, what if they just moved the hole punch back a little further to tighten it up, and I'm holding it basically as tight as it will go, but that still doesn't rectify the problem. It'll make the tension around the handle slightly better, but I'm still pulling it in and out without it even engaging with the leather. And if you try to do that yourself, it's just gonna bleed right into this slit already. It's just gonna tear and make a big mess, and it's gonna be worse off than you were before. And because of the way the cut-in is down here, there's not a lot of tension right there around the guard, and I don't even think you're gonna be able to like try to wet form this or something to get you any better tension. So it's borderline unsafe, and just made it a tension fit. That would have been a way better choice. Thankfully, just so you know, if you do own the Savage from BPS Knives, the Savage sheath will fit this all the way down. Now, it's gonna be a very deep ride right there, but it will fit it no problems. I can't tell that it's like hitting the edge in any way, and the tension is gonna be much, much better. So if you already own the Savage and you just wanna swap over the blade and put it in there, that would be, for tension, a much better option. So hopefully, they can do something and kind of redesign the sheath. I would just delete the strap and bring up the leather and just make it tight enough so you have good tension there, and that would remedy that. But as it stands, you could easily lose that if you're not careful in your pack or on your belt. And as we're about to find out if the blade holds up, I just want to say thank you to you, the viewers, for hanging out with me today. It is truly you, in partnership with our regular sponsors, that helps me get out here, purchase gear and equipment just like this, put it through the ringer to help you determine whether or not it's the right piece of kit to put into rotation. And today's sponsor is Hardside Hydration. It's been awesome to have this American-based company as a partner here at the channel, because they provide the ability to give us hands-free hydration attached to our rigid water bottles through their Swig rig and ultralight Swig rig systems, allowing you to ditch those cumbersome water bladders that are difficult to maintain and clean, and have a more streamlined hands-free profile in your favorite rigid water bottle. And during the holidays, they make a perfect gift idea for those loved ones in your life who love the outdoors and want to stay hydrated. So I'll have a link in the description box below, as well as my exclusive 10% off promo code. So check out Hardside and streamline your hydration. Now, from a design perspective, this knife immediately connects with me. It just looks good. And when a knife looks good, that's the first layer, then you're more likely to actually carry it, actually use it. If it looks like it fell off the ugly tree and hit every branch going down, you're less likely to pull the trigger and then ultimately take it out and use it. With its 4-inch blade length, it's got a really nice gradual drop point. I really like that. And then it's gonna have a half-high saber grind, and then it's gonna have a 90-degree spine. And the website says 0.1 on the stock thickness. My caliper says 0.12 or 1/8 of an inch thick. So I'm going with 1/8. That basically holds its thickness all the way down to the tip, and we're gonna do some tip testing a little bit later, as well as some lateral torque testing, so we'll see if it holds up better than the BPS Savage, which with the same testing, I bent the tip as well as bent the blade. So it's hitting a lot of good points from a design perspective that I look for in a compact fixed blade. But what about actual performance? Now, this is made out of 1066 high carbon steel with a Rockwell of 57 to 59. So I wanted to begin with an unmodified factory edge. Nice. I really began to put it through its paces by breaking down several pieces of wood into kindling. And what I was pleased to see is because of the saber grind, you're able to, if you can span it, crack open those pieces of wood very easily, breaking it down into kindling so that you could then make feather sticks for a fire. I even went through a couple pretty knotted pieces, and basically as long as you can span it, you'll be able to crack it, and I was really pleased to see that. Then transition straight into feather sticks. Now, it does a good job, but this is where you'll find a difference in performance compared to your Scandi grinds, like say a Mora Companion or a Mora 511 or a Garberg of similar size. Those Scandi grinds will be easier to make feather sticks and really bite into the wood. This is trading some of that fine carving finesse for more durability in the overall grind geometry, as well as potentially helping it out with some more utilitarian tasks. So you can easily get feather sticks going, but it's gonna be a little bit more effort. You're gonna have to put a little bit more energy into your pressure to make it really carve like you want it to, compared to Scandi grinds of similar size. And leave a comment and let me know, when it comes to compact woods knives, do you prefer a saber grind like this or a Scandi grind? And the only area where I really saw it kind of struggle was with my 7,000-pound toe strap. And I really had to put some effort on that. And I think it's the angle of the factory edge, and I'm gonna bring it up ever so slightly just to make it a little bit finer for how I like to use my tools. And then going through like a lime, so like food prep, it did really cool and really well with that. And I would way prefer this type of edge geometry and grind for food prep over any of my Scandi grinds. So after all that work, how's the 1066 really holding up? I mean, it's a very basic high carbon steel. There you go, nice. So that's after splitting down all of that kindling, going through the cardboard, the rope, plastic, making a few feather sticks and a few spear points and notches. So I was pleasantly surprised. It's not gonna win any awards in the edge retention department by any means, but it held up a little bit better than I expected, and it's gonna be very easy to put an edge back on it. Now we're gonna test the tip as well as lateral, hang some weight off of this knife. And remember back a few weeks ago, we did the Savage with the same steel from BPS, and it did not pass either of these tests. Right, here we go. Tip test, 5 strike. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that survived, no issues there, excellent. Just testing, see how the tempering is. Ooh, wow. Okay, a little bit. Not too bad. Excellent. Beautiful. No bending. Just because of that grind, it's just because of the strength. Now, just a little bit, we'll do the torture testing to see how it holds up to that, but for your general woodworking and utility, not only the design, but also the materials hold up well, particularly for the value, which is pretty nuts, which was $50 the day this was released, and I pulled the trigger and bought it off of Amazon, and last I checked, it was going for like $45 with some sort of coupon. So we could argue between, let's just say, 45 and 50 bucks for all the materials, but very impressive. And I will have links in the description below, not only to this blade, but also a couple other BPS knives that you can take a look at if you're interested and you feel like it's time to pull the trigger. And I do want to take a moment just to highlight the designers of this knife, the guys over at Dutch Bushcraft Knives. They are hilarious. They are a gem and a blessing to the blade community here on YouTube, because not only have they provided thousands of hours of entertainment in this space and in this vein of like axes, knives, blades, those type of things, but they also have a really good eye to determine what is a good or bad tool and how it would perform or the lack thereof, and obviously have a good eye on just knife design since they've designed a few blades themselves. So if you have not yet subscribed to them, if you're not yet following them, I'll have a link in the description below over to their YouTube channel as well. I encourage you to do so. It'll be hours and hours of not only information, but awesome entertainment. And just to be clear, I bought this blade myself. I've had zero interaction with those guys revolving around this tool and its release and this video. It's just awesome to share this social media space with guys like DBK. Now on the handle, I have some information that may be a deal breaker. We'll find out here in just a moment. Let me hit all the good points first. What we have are handle scales that are made out of walnut with Danish oil being finished with that. So it's gonna have a better overall feel and just refinement than say like the BPS Savage, if you're familiar with that, and some of their other blades that are unfinished wood. This will have that Danish oil on there. You got kind of flat portions, which are nice and smooth there, and then nice contouring top and bottom. You got that little flare out the back, lanyard, tubed lanyard hole, obviously again, full tang, and then a nice little flare down, no jimping. Knife like this does not need that. Fills out my large size hands with plenty of real estate. Right there, good guard, so you're not gonna accidentally slide up. So you can be a little aggressive with this tool. It's not like a Puko. Now for the heartbreaking truth. And this has happened, when I think about it, probably on about half a dozen knives from several different manufacturers that either do pinned in or tubed attached handle scales. And I've seen this occur from brands like Boker, Condor, and Ontario Knife Company over the years. That, when you start to do shock work with the tool, aka batoning, chopping, side splitting, that type of stuff, the scales tend to shift, and it's like this $100 price cutoff, because knives over $100 that I've had that are pinned in or tubed, I've never had that issue, but on the sub 100, it's almost a constant problem. So I was really concerned, like, is that gonna happen when I start batoning, because they weren't out the gate, but when I start batoning or chopping, are these gonna loosen up and start shifting ever so slightly? And yes, they did. And it didn't occur until I started doing the batoning, and I wasn't doing aggressive batoning as you guys saw, but by the time I was done, I could see a crowning on the spine, which was really sad, and I could feel little lips forming all over the place on the guard and down below, and then if you smack the spine, it would go flush back into place, and I was like, ugh, so much so that when I had to put hard pressure afterwards on cutting the toe strap, I could feel the scale shifting ever so slightly in my hand, which is just a nuisance, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. You could try to like hammer in these pins, but they're nice and flush. I don't think I'm gonna be really able to do anything. And if these handles had the Allen bolts that the Savage has and all other BPS knives that I'm aware of, I could just have tightened the handle scales down and kept on trucking. Probably just kind of the way now my particular blade is. And it may be a fluke, maybe mine, but I've seen it on many designs over the years. So I would love to see, if it was me, a redesign. Everything on the handle is great, but throw on some torque or Allen bolts, just like on all the other BPS tools, and that issue would go away. So now we've seen the highs and lows with the Bushmate. Where do I sit? Well, as a design, I really like the size, so just the style of it really connect with me, and it really comes down to the execution of the tool by BPS, which is definitely a little lacking. So if it was me, if we could get bolt-on handle scales and a sheath redesign, then this could potentially be one of the best performing compact fixed blades in that price range. So I can't wait to see where the design goes from here, guys. That's my mileage. Your mileage may vary, and I can't wait to see all the comments, your guys' thoughts, your feedback, particularly those of you who already own the Bushmate. What has been your experience? Appreciate you guys coming over today and hanging with me. Check out the other video popping up, and until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.